combining food, relating them with our emotions, food, family, and health connect. And now, finally, today's session is on food, periods, and you, a connect for good health. I am sure a lot of us have already have many questions. I welcome Dr. Shobha, who is the Associate Professor and Head at the Department of Human Development in Srimati VHD College of Home Science, Bangalore. And I request everybody else to please post their questions as they occur to you on the chat in the chat box, so that we can take them up later after Dr. Shobha's presentation. I welcome you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure indeed being in connect with you from past month and more. So I see about 32 participants. Hopefully more will join. But even otherwise, during the festival season, I'm really, really glad that so many of you are here. Before I begin, let me all wish you all a very, very happy Diwali. Really nice. Can I have everyone wishing each other? If you could unmute and wish each other, that would be really
Absolutely, ma'am. Happy Diwali to you and everybody else today here on this session.
yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much. And we start with this another very, very interesting topic: food periods and you. As I've always asked, let's keep it interactive. So you hope you're fine with that, the way it's been going. So if you're fine with that, we shall go with that. And before I begin, I once again wish to thank the organizers, the esteemed institution, organizers, and the entire team for having me over here. We have been interacting from the past 1 month over 4 sessions, and we kind of know each other. And I'm really very happy with that sustained interest and the audience coming back to me for the programs. So before I begin, quickly in the chat box, if you could let me know if there are any changes required in the presentation style, in the speed, in the interaction, in the questioning, anywhere, any moderations, any changes required in my presentation, I would be able to incorporate that. So I would welcome. Let me ask for this beginning of the session. Now that you have heard me for a couple of weeks, any suggestions, please feel free. I'm just giving you a couple of seconds or minute for that. It's perfect, says Deepak sir. Thank you, sir. No change required. Thank you so much for that. Okay. All right. Anyone else? You could tell me. Please continue the way you're presenting. Thank you, Nidhi. Yes. So today's topic being a very, very interesting one, that is the periods, food, and you. This is today's topic. And before I start, let me ask you, among the 35 and odd, how many are men here? How many men do we have in the group? Just men. You can, me, okay, Deepak sir says me. Who else? Padma ma'am says no changes. Thank you, Padma. Yes, Rajwan Singh, Deepak Sharma sir. Okay. I think a couple of you. Thank you so much. I really am glad that men are here for this very, very important topic. Around 4 to 5 men. Salute to you. And I'm really privileged to have men folk attending this session, because let me tell you, periods is what brought you all into this world. If our mothers didn't menstruate, we wouldn't have been here. So it is imperative, it is very, very important that both men and women should know about this very important aspect and topic. And period is nothing to feel shy about, or it's not a topic of aversion. It is nothing pertaining only to women or a girl's business. No. We all go back to homes, and each of us, men and women, have brothers, sisters, mothers, wives, irrespective of the gender. Each of us have all these relationships, and each one of us are here only because our mothers menstruated. So, with that divinity in this matter, let's go to this topic with an open mind. I respect the men and the women in this group, but in spite of that, let's not have inhibitions talking about this topic, answering or asking questions. Only a scientific and an investigating mind can look for good answers. So it is as much a woman's topic as it is a man's topic. I hope you're all here with that kind of open mind. Without that, I'm sure the few men wouldn't have been here for this. Thank you so much for that. So I would request, especially the ladies in the reproductive age, those who are menstruating, and even men also, if you know about the challenges of women who are in your life who are menstruating and facing periods and little hardships, even you could do this exercise with me. But definitely, I would like the women to take part in this. If you have a notepad, please divide your notebook or the sheet into 4 columns. I repeat, if you have a notebook with you, if you don't have a notebook, quickly go pick up a notebook and a pen. Divide it into 4 columns. I hope it's done. And all those women here, I request you. And if there are men also, if you have experienced, if you have heard about the things, the questions I'm going to ask you, you also can take part in this, as I told you in the beginning. So I want the women in the first column, please write the different discomforts you experience during periods, just before periods, or a few days prior to periods. Okay, the first column, give the column heading as discomforts or indications or whatever the problems, discomforts or problems, what you are facing or you have faced. Okay, this is something you need to write down in your notebook. You don't have to give it to me in your chat box right now. You just divide your notebook. Please list the different discomforts. It could be muscle cramps. It could be bloating. It could be I break up into a rash, whatever it could be. I want you to write down. Okay. I hope. Just think. Go back 1 month, 2 months. Your experience. I hope it is done. Okay. Now, can I ask a couple of you to quickly put it in your chat box? You don't, yeah, you could text it separately to me or put it in the common window too. Yeah, what are some of the, yes, backache. Vidhi says backache and cramps. Okay, I get another similar answer. Mood swings, wonderful. Okay, quickly, please. Sleepless nights. Okay. Okay. Tiredness. Yeah, there's an interesting one. Depression, pimples. I feel like not eating anything. Okay. Puking sensation. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. Good, good. Thank you. Thank you for that. Yes. So today, in today's session, we are going to read about, oh, it's 1 minute, it's not shared still. Yeah, is my screen visible? It should be visible in a minute.
Yes, ma'am, it's visible.
But can you see the slide? I don't see it.
No, ma'am, your Google Meet screen is visible. You have to just share the presentation.
Ah, okay, now I think it's fine. No?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So in today's session, we are going to see how this important aspect called as periods is linked to your lifestyle and food habits. You just completed this exercise with me wherein you have given me a whole lot of symptoms, indications, discomforts that each of you are facing. We shall today see, is there a connect between the kind of food we eat, the lifestyle we have, and is there any way that we can improve or change or better ourselves through food and help ourselves alleviate or lessen these discomforts? So, do you think there is a connect between food and all these discomforts? If so, how and how do we help ourselves? Let's look at that. Before we go into that, let me ask you a couple of more questions. What is periods, by the way, and what do we know about that? Why do you think periods happen? It's open to both men and women, all the participants. Feel free. This entire session is a very, very scientific one. Don't feel shy. So, what do you think periods is? Why does it happen? Whatever you know about it, in a couple of words, quickly. Shedding of endometrium. Very good. Madhura Desai says shedding of endometrium. Right? Okay. Any more answers? Menstruation. Clearing away the endometrial lining. Nidhi says. Very good. Yes. Men, can I have answers from Deepak sir, Singh, and a few more? I particularly want answers from you all. Yes, please, quickly. Okay. I only have got 2-3 answers. So I assume that majority of you would like to know the right answer for the question. So with that assumption, I'm going to talk a little in brief about the menstruation part, how it happens, why it happens, and what is it that happens during what is called as menstruation. So this, what you see here, is the uterus. Uterus is a pear-shaped organ, about 3 inches in the non-pregnant state. It is in the pelvic region of a girl, just below the navel. So just below the navel, in the pelvic region, it is about 3 inches in length in the non-pregnant state. As I told you, uterus is a pear-shaped organ, a muscular bag. It has a top body and 2 tubes on either sides, which are called as a fallopian tubes. There are 2 tubes, the right and the left side, if you see there, 2 fallopian tubes. And top, what you see is the top or the body of the uterus. It narrows down, and the narrowest part of the uterus, portion of the uterus, is called as a cervix. Cervix is the neck or the narrow portion of the uterus. And the uterus opens up to the external world, external cell, in the form of a vagina. Vagina is the external opening of the uterus through which a girl menstruates. So this is different from the urethra, from where urine is passed. So there's a little confusion even among the educated young girls and men. So vaginal opening and urethral opening are 2 different. So this is how it is. The vaginal opening leads to the cervix and then into the uterus. So this musculature structure is a strong bag. This uterus is lined with a lining called as endometrium. A couple of my participants rightly said endometrium is a inner lining of the uterus. And if you see the fallopian tube, it's a narrow tube. The fallopian tube ends in the form of a funnel, a finger-like projection funnel, and attached to the body of the uterus, you see two oval shaped part, those are called as the ovaries. You see one on the right side, one on the left side. So ovaries, and very close to the ovaries, you see the funnel-like opening of the fallopian tube. So this is the general structure of a female reproductive system. When a baby girl is born, at the time of birth itself, a baby girl is born with this reproductive structure. There is ovary, there's uterus, there are fallopian tubes, everything. It's just that the ovaries contain immature ova. Ovum is singular, ova is plural. A baby girl is born with hundreds of immature ova in both the ovaries. When a girl reaches, say, 12 or 13 or the menarchal age, due to the hormones, the female hormones, estrogen and progesterone, and due to the action of the pituitary gland, there are a lot of changes that happen in her body. And due to the action of the hormones called as follicle stimulating hormone, luteinizing hormone, let's not go into the details of that. I'm going to keep it simple. Due to the hormonal changes in a girl during her 12, 13 or the menarchal age, one mature or one immature ovum matures and grows in one of the ovaries, and it ruptures, and this ova, mature ovum, is clasped or it is held by the fallopian tube, the funnel-like opening, and it enters the fallopian tube. So around the 12, 13 years, or these days, the menarchal age is also coming down. So the immature ova matures, and for the first time, you see a girl menstruating, which means that she's capable of producing a mature ovum. So this release of the mature ova from the ovary is called as ovulation. So so this is what I was telling you, a natural body function. And in a young girl who starts menstruating, the first 1 to 7 days is called as
Hello, hello, ma'am. Are you there?
No, Nidhi, I think some network glitch is there. Even I'm not able to
Okay.
hear.
I think ma'am has just disconnected. I'm sure she'll join again.
Okay, okay, let's wait for 2 minutes. Okay. Nidhi, has she joined?
No, Sukhvinder, ma'am is not here.
Okay, I'll ask Deepak sir to call her.
Ma'am, sorry. Can you hear me? Yeah, very sorry.
Yes,
There
ma'am.
was power cut. Power cut. So
No, ma'am,
I
no
just lost.
problem.
Don't know when I'll be able to resume. I didn't realize. In fact, I was continuing with my session. I don't know how far I was able to
Even
show you
I
the
thought the
screen.
same thing. Yes.
I never realized.
Yes, ma'am, it's visible. Its presentation is visible, ma'am.
Visible. And let me
Your
quickly.
screen, your Google Meet
No,
screen.
ma'am, not the
Your Google
slideshow
Meet.
yet.
Google Meet screen is there, ma'am.
Okay. Once these connections go. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am, it's visible.
Okay. So I don't know how much of what my explanation was being heard. I will quickly go through, or I'll probably you can take a look at this. I was just telling you that the initial first few days, the first to seventh day, it's called as a menstruation period, and then the first hormone called as the estrogen begins working. The function of the estrogen is to thicken the endometrial lining, and then around the 12th to 15th day, the mature ovum is released. That's called as ovulation. And from the time of ovulation, the production of estrogen decreases and the second hormone, progesterone, continues to be produced. And the function of the progesterone is to make the endometrial lining further thick. So around the 16th to 25th day, the progesterone continues, and by 25th day in a normal cycle, the production of the progesterone also gradually decreases, which means that the blood circulation, the supply to the endometrial lining, the oxygen, the blood supply slowly declines. Around the 28th day in a normal cycle, both progesterone and estrogen is completely stopped. Thereby, there is no supply of blood or oxygen to the endometrial additional lining which has been produced over the days. So now with that, with the stoppage or cessation in the supply of blood and oxygen, this endometrial lining gets detached itself from the actual uterine wall. So this happens around the 28th day in a normal menstrual cycle, but 26 to 35 days cycle is also called as normal. So around this time, due to the stoppage of both the hormones, the endometrial wall has detached itself the lining. This is what we see as the menstrual flow. This can be for 3 days, for about 5 days. So what is it that is shed in this is the endometrial lining which was deposited in the last 2-3 weeks, the unfertilized ovum, the mucus, the tissue, and the blood. So this is what is the physiology of menstrual cycle. Very briefly, I have told you, and I lost the connection also in between, so I don't know how much you have missed earlier. So this is called as a cycle because it happens, it starts at the time of menarche. Menarche is the first menstruation in a girl, and it continues throughout her reproductive period till she reaches menopause, except for the time when she is pregnant. So therefore, this ongoing cycle, it's an ongoing cycle, hence it's referred to as menstrual cycle. What we need to remember here, the key words are the two hormones, the ovum which is maturing, ovulation, the endometrial lining, the detachment of the lining, and the action of the progesterone and estrogen hormones. So this is a completely hormone dependent action which takes place. Now that if this aspect is clear, why am I spending time on this? Because what we're going to discuss regarding food is very much important and related to the physiology and all these changes. So these are regular cycles. It is very important, and a regular menstrual cycle is an indication that the woman has normal health, she's reproductive. With the onset of menstruation, as I told you, it's an indication that the ovaries are healthy, it is producing the ovum. So this is about the menstrual cycle. And of course, as I told you, it's beautiful, yet a little unpleasant sometimes, a little problematic, little painful. In some cases, more painful. And a regular cycle confirms that the girl's body is normal, capable of producing and growing a fetus. An absent or irregular cycle could be an indication of various things like imbalance in the nutrition or hormonal imbalance, low weight, stress, hormonal ups and downs, etc. So this is it. Now coming to the actual topic of the food and the period connect. I was asking you about the different common premenstrual symptoms or at the time of periods. So some of you did say about cramps, many of you have mentioned. Bloating, some of you have told me. Breaking out into pimples, yes, in the chat box I saw that. Tender breasts or sore breasts. Feeling tired, that was also there. Mood swings and nausea. So all those who have given me all these answers, yes, be assured that all these are quite normal. You are normal, and then everything is going on fine. But in case there is heavy bleeding, heavy flow, or the cramps are high, or the discomfort and nausea is more, then we shall see what has to be done and what can be done and how food is related to that. So with that,
Ma'am, your slides are again not visible.
no, I don't. I stopped it. I was just talking to you all, so I
Okay,
was
so sorry.
okay. Yeah. So I'm going to go back on that. Yes. So now, those of you who want to know what to eat, what not to eat during your periods, here it is. Number one, first and foremost, it's very, very important that we consume balanced diet. That's exactly the reason why I told you from the beginning of my session, I've been emphasizing on balanced diet, have been emphasizing on the food pyramid. And the more we follow the balanced diet pattern with nutrients coming from all the food groups in the right proportions, then more or less our physical health, our mental health, our menstrual cycle, everything will go normal. And how we exercise, what we eat, how much we eat are all linked to the premenstrual symptoms, the heaviness, the regularity of your flow, etc. So now coming to one of those, each of those symptoms and the food connect. Let's talk about that. None of you mentioned, but I'm sure some of you would have experienced, some women experience cravings for sugar, especially during those days, feel like eating chocolate. I want to eat chocolates or ice creams, or I want sweets. So there are many young girls or women who gorge on sweets. So what does this sweet or craving for sweet indicate? Number one, it indicates that there is a demand for energy. That is, during periods, your body is demanding for more calories or energy. So you feel like eating sweets. So that's one explanation. Other than that, the sweet cravings, the sugar cravings also indicate that there could be an increase in the hormone levels. And due to hormone levels, there is increase in insulin, because of which it can reduce blood sugar and therefore cravings. More hormones and then more possibility of high insulin, and when there is higher insulin, more sugar gets metabolized, therefore you feel like eating more sugars. So that's the cycle there. What happens? The sugar cravings, the second part of that is sugar cravings can result in muscle cramps too. That is the delicate link between that. Why? Because sugar cravings indicate a hormonal imbalance of greater estrogen and progesterone, and higher the estrogen, higher could be the menstrual cramps. So those girls and women having sugar cravings, please remember, sugar cravings could be an indication of greater estrogen than progesterone levels. Due to greater estrogen levels, there is hormonal imbalance and therefore sugar cravings, and it can lead to muscle cramps. So if you want to reduce the pain, the muscle cramps, we need to work back and bring the estrogen levels to normal. So when the hormone levels are normal, the sugar cravings also dip, thereby the muscle cramps also come down. So how do we reduce the estrogen levels so that the muscle cramps also come down is what we are going to talk in the next few slides. The other part, the other reason for menstrual cramps, it could be in the lower back area, lower abdomen area, or the pelvic region. The menstrual cramps, what we refer to as. It could be also due to inflammation. Whenever we have more of inflammation, it results in higher menstrual cramps. So the principle here is, if you have to reduce the menstrual cramps, you need to reduce the inflammation. What are those foods that increase and decrease this inflammation? Let's see. So those foods like, rich in fiber, fresh fruits and vegetables, whole grains, legumes, nuts, and seeds bring down the inflammation in a woman's body. Not just in women's body, but in both men and women's body, but I'm talking about menstrual cycle, so I'm talking reference to women. So inflammation is reduced by fresh fruits, vegetables, whole grains, legumes, nuts, and oil seeds. So consuming these type of foods will reduce the inflammation. When the inflammation is reduced, menstrual cramps are reduced. What foods increase the inflammation? Animal products and junk foods, foods which have saturated fats, oils, increase the level of estrogen. So if the estrogen is high, that can result in additional release of insulin, higher sugar cravings, and higher muscle cramps. The more estrogen-based foods one consumes, the more likely your uterine lining becomes abnormally thick. Now I stop the screen sharing. I'm going to ask you this question. What do you think are those foods which increase the estrogen production and the lining of the uterus? What are those foods that add or make the uterine lining thicker due to increased estrogen production? Let me hear it in the chat box. Say it in the chat box. Yes. I hope you're following the delicate link between the lining of the uterus, the menstrual cramps, food that support, food that increase the thickening, foods that decrease. Yes. What are those foods? My question to you, I repeat. If one has to reduce the menstrual cramps, the uterine lining shouldn't become abnormally thick. So how do we check on the abnormal thickening of the uterine lining? which are those foods which make the uterine lining abnormally thick? Okay, Indira ma'am says most proteins make it thick. Padma ma'am, I was asking which will make the uterine lining thicker. Citrus fruits, in fact, help. Flax seeds also help. My question to you was which abnormally or adversely react? Okay. Please remember, animal foods, the additives, the junk, the trans fats, the saturated fats, the artificial foods, colors, these are some of the foods which make the endometrial lining abnormally thick. I will put that slide for you. Yes. Yeah, here it is. Yeah. High levels of estrogen can be caused by the animal foods, especially the estrogen-based foods like junk foods, saturated animal fats, animal products increase the levels of estrogen in the body. So those women who are having menstrual cramps, please remember it could be due to the abnormal thickening of the uterus lining. So if you have to reduce that, reduce the saturated animal products and increase the consumption of vegetables, fiber foods, citrus fruits, etc. That is very, very, very important. High levels of estrogen can also lead to weight gain, particularly around the hips and waist. There are young girls and women who have particularly concentrated fat around the hips and the waist. So this is also an indication of high levels of estrogen. And again, as I told you, excess estrogen can cause menstrual problems like irregular periods. It can also cause heavy bleeding, spotting, and PMS. Those foods which are friendly with estrogen, which help, are, as some of you said, citrus fruits, cruciferous fruits, vegetables such as broccoli, cabbage, cauliflower, mushroom, flax seeds. Deepak sir was selling flax seeds. These are, in fact, friends for a woman's body. It helps. Okay, so the second thing is losing weight. Very, very important. Those of you who have menstrual cramps or fluctuation in menstruation, you could also consider losing weight. If you're on the higher side, even weight gain or obesity is also linked to cramps and irregular periods. So you could consider that also. And how foods change hormones, as I've been telling you, a low fat, high fiber diet can significantly reduce estrogen levels. So our mantra should be, if you're having menstrual cramps, our mantra should be a low fat, high fiber diet so that we bring down the estrogen levels. Low estrogen means low or lesser thickening of the endometrial lining. If the endometrial lining is less thickened, less energy or less cramps for detaching or shedding, so less pain. So when we understand the scientific part behind this entire thing, it becomes easy to manage periods. So the more fiber in the diet, the better the natural estrogen disposal system works. The extra estrogen in the body gets disposed with the help of fiber. That's why fibers are called as natural scavengers. They clean the system, whether it is the colon or for the uterus. So what are negatives or enemies to us? Predominantly junk foods, packaged foods, refined foods, foods with additives, and excess of dairy. All these are not friendly for your hormones. Secondly, very importantly, eat enough proteins, good quality proteins at every meal, and consuming a balanced diet and a good quantity and quality of protein with high biological value is extremely important for a painless period. So how do we get these proteins? If you are a vegetarian, again, have been telling you in the previous sessions to eat a variety of diets, different types of legumes, dals, pulses, lentils. More variety you create, you get different amino acids, thereby your diet becomes enriched. And if you're a non-vegetarian, a good portion of white meat, lean meat in the form of poultry, fish, egg is a good source. Now, something very, very important, iron. In every period, a woman loses about 35 ml of blood in every period. So that's something normal, about 35 ml of blood. And in the case of heavy bleeding, it goes up to 80 ml of blood in the periods. And about 1.4 milligrams of iron is lost per day in the periods. So thereby, every month, the girl loses blood and iron. And if she is not replenishing the iron through good dietary intake, it is quite natural for the girl or the woman, the lady, to become anemic. Added to that, if she gets pregnant and then the delivery, the lactation, and the repeated pregnancy could make her anemic for a longer period. Anemia is something which we really, really have to take care of. About 60 to 65% of both urban and rural women and young girls today in India are anemic. And once a girl or a woman is anemic, the various problems she faces are fatigue, that is tiredness, lack of interest in day-to-day work if she's a college girl or a student, lack of concentration, poor academic performance, feeling tired end of the day, shortness of breath, falling of hair, and irregular periods, heavy or scanty periods. All this could be due to this one little deficiency called as iron deficiency. Iron is a trace element, a micro element mineral that's required for the body in small amounts, but that is so important because to carry oxygen we need hemoglobin, and for hemoglobin production iron is important. And where do we get this iron from? Iron is supplied by dark green leafy vegetables, organ meats, and I've been talking about the whole lot of dietary or iron rich foods in my previous sessions too. The dry fruits, raisins, dates, figs, all these are good sources of iron. If a young girl's diet is lacking in iron, or for some reason a body is not absorbing iron, and she's losing iron every month during her menstrual period, so that results in iron deficiency anemia. What happens in an iron deficiency anemia? Although her body itself is running low on iron, an anemic girl can have heavy periods, irregular periods, or scanty periods. And if she is a pregnant lady, it can also result in low birth weight babies, LBW, what we say. It can also result in termination of pregnancy, stillbirths, and excessive bleeding at the time of delivery and maternal death also. Therefore, my earnest request to all the young girls and women, please take care of your iron requirements, your iron intake. There are a whole lot of iron-rich foods available in the Indian diet, whether it is vegetarian or non-vegetarian. So please take good quality iron-rich foods. And also remember, I have is to club a citrus fruit in the form of a tomato or a guava or an orange or a mosambi along with an iron-rich food. So if we can get this small little scientific information in mind, if you can drive home this
Hello, ma'am, your voice is again not coming.
I'm so sorry. Today there's a very poor connectivity. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am, we can now hear your voice again.
Yes. I'm so sorry. Please bear with me.
No problem at all, ma'am.
I was talking to you. I lose, that connectivity and then the continuity. So I was talking to you. Those of you who had written menstrual cramps in the first column as your discomfort in the second column, please write. The reason for that could be high levels of estrogen, or it could be weight gain. And in the third column, please enter foods to take. And in the fourth column, please write foods to avoid. So those of you with menstrual cramps, second column you write weight gain or high estrogen, foods to be consumed, fibrous, vegetables, fruits. Fourth column you're going to write foods to avoid is junk foods, packaged foods, animal sources, saturated fats. I hope I've made it clear. I'm sorry in between if I missed out some of the information due to poor connectivity. Now we move on to the next one. Calcium. Especially this is for those girls or women who face these cramps not only during periods, but those of you who have cramps in your calf muscles when you're asleep. I think I discussed in the last session also. That could be an indication of calcium deficiency. Lack of calcium can lead to painful cramping, menstrual cramps during your periods, and also cramps in your calf muscles, especially when you're fast asleep. You wake up for that due to that pain in your calf muscles. That could be an indication of calcium deficiency. So in your first column, if you have written menstrual cramps, in the second column also write it could be an indication of calcium deficiency. So what do you take? The third column, you need to take calcium rich foods. Calcium is present in all dairy, that is milk and milk products. Cut down on fats or creamy part of the milk, but take good quality of milk. Ragi is a good source of calcium. Those of you, especially South Indians, if you're ragi eaters, excellent source of calcium. And till sesame seeds is also a good source of calcium. So I was also giving you a tip last session. I'll just repeat it. Soak about a teaspoon of black till in water the previous night in half a glass of water. The next day you can drink that water and chew that or eat the black till. Very good source of calcium. Unless you are obese or you have high cholesterol, you can just drink the water and not eat the sesame seeds. But if you're not on the obese side, if you're not having high cholesterol, you can eat the soaked black till also, and it's a high source of calcium. When your calcium stores are replenished, when you are no longer deficient in calcium, the menstrual cramps also reduce. See how your food and period problems are linked. We move on to vitamin E. Vitamin E is an antioxidant. It improves circulation. It's a very important nutrient during your periods. And especially it can relieve the period symptoms. So those of you who are talking to me about the soreness of breast, the tingling sensation, etc., you need to increase the vitamin E foods in your body. So vitamin E is it's present in avocados or butterfruit, egg yolk, spinach, broccoli. So very important. Vitamin E is an excellent antioxidant. So all those who have written PMS. So those of you who have written premenstrual symptoms in the form of mood swings, irritability in the first column. Second column, please write. It is an indication. It could be. I'm not saying all these are the only reasons. It could be an indication of vitamin E deficiency. So third column, what you write is that foods to be taken are spinach, avocados, egg yolks if you're an egg eater, and of course the foods to be avoided are the other things which add unnecessary weight to your body. And another very important aspect for reduction or reducing muscle cramp is hydration. Taking enough water is very important. Many a times cramps could also be due to the dehydration. Never wait for the signal of thirst. By the time you feel thirst, your body is already 10% dehydrated. So don't wait for the signal of thirst. Just pick up your water bottles and keep sipping water, especially during your periods. Lack of hydration or poor hydration can also result in muscle cramps. Yes, this is something very important. Magnesium. How many of you have written sleep disturbance, unable to sleep well, disturbed sleep? I wake up many a times during my periods and I feel stiffness in my muscles. I'm not relaxed. It could be an indication of magnesium deficiency. So those of you who experience these symptoms, if you have listed that in the first column, please enter in the second column. It could be an indication of lack of magnesium in the body. What does magnesium do? Magnesium in a natural way helps in relaxing your muscles. So thereby the stiffness comes down and you feel better and more relaxed. So those women who are deficient in magnesium also find the cravings for sugar, chocolate, just pick up that extra sweet or the sugar and you feel like eating. That's because magnesium also affects the sugar levels. Therefore, if you can just rectify the magnesium levels in the body, your sugar cravings also will come down and also you feel more relaxed, better able to cope up with your periods. So foods to be increased, green leafy vegetable. Consume a lot of greens in the form of vegetable soup, palak soup, methi paratas, palak paneer, sabjis, etc. And magnesium is also present in peanuts, tofu, that is soya paneer, greens. Now do you understand how the food and the periods are connected? So far, if you feel that you're finding that delicate link with your food and the periods, let me hear it in your chat box. If you are able to get that connection between the food and the periods and your symptoms, if you're getting some answers for your discomforts, let me hear it in your chat box, please. If you are able to get that link between the food, the discomforts, and the problems you're facing, let me hear it. I'll give you 30 seconds to give your answers. Still waiting? Yes, we understand the linkage, but it is a long term, or is there anything that we can do moderately? Oh, very good, momentarily. Good, sir. Yes. That's a good answer. Good question, rather. Okay. Very good question. I'll take that up. Let me see if I can get any further opinions and notes there. Okay, I'll answer your question, sir. I'll take that up. Yes, Deepak sir has asked me this question where is there a linkage, but all these could be long term. Is there anything that we can do momentarily for relief? Actually, our body takes about 100 days to get a good store of any of these nutrients. 100 days is about 3 months. Not a very long time though. Therefore, what is important is to have a balanced meal consumption as our way of life. We don't have to wait for our periods or for the pregnancy or for anything like that. If consuming balanced diet is our way of life, then we can more or less sail through all these in a very effective way. Otherwise also, now that we are sensitized on the link between the food and some of these trace elements and the periods, never late, we can start consuming this kind or these kinds of foods more consciously. I'm sure it's going to help in the long run. Other than that, what to be done for quick fixes? Yes, there are medications, there are certain exercises, but anything to work, it takes a little time. Therefore, for sustainability and for long-term good effects, it's always good to go through the natural mechanisms. That's very important. Otherwise, for pains, etc., there are very safe painkillers. Meftal is there. There are other pain relievers which can be taken by a woman for muscle cramps, etc. But do consult your gynecologist or physician and take these medicines. But there are pain relievers. There are a lot of exercises which can also help. Yoga can relieve a lot of cramps. Probably we need another session for that in that case. So moving on to vitamin B6. This is very important for the metabolism of proteins and for red blood cells. And those of you who feel low, mood swings, depression, anxiety, please remember that you need to be eating more of vitamin B6 rich foods. Especially bananas are very, very rich in vitamin B6. Nice, good milkshake made out with banana, or a warm glass of milk with little honey just before bedtime is a nice way of getting vitamin B6. And milk is also very good for the production of tryptophan, an amino acid. Tryptophan in turn improves the production of serotonin. Serotonin is a happy hormone, a mood enhancer. So with that, you feel better and your sleep pattern or your sleep also quality of sleep also improves. So vitamin B6. So those of you who have written anxiety, depression in the first column, please write in the second column. Could be an indication of lack of vitamin B6 in the body. Foods to increase are bananas, potatoes, and you can also take milk for better production of tryptophan and thereby serotonin. Eating foods like eggs, salmon, spinach are very high in tryptophan, as I was telling you, an essential amino acid which is used in the hormone production. So this is also very important for relieving yourself of the PMS, the symptoms. I was also talking to you about the inflammation and the menstrual cramps. Basically, inflammations are the root cause for many diseases, right from cancer to various other things. So one of the principles for good health is lessening all those foods which cause inflammatory process in the body. So those foods which reduce inflammation is good for maintaining good health, not just for relieving the menstrual related problems. So vitamin B12 is an anti-inflammatory vitamin. B12 is solely found in eggs, dairy products, and for those of you who are non-vegetarians, it's also present in organ meats and non-veg foods. Very importantly, if you can increase your daily intake of iron, folate, and vitamin B12, it will really improve your energy levels. So those of you who feel tired end of the day, by the time your 5th day of your periods, you feel haggard and tired, it's an indication that your energy levels are low, and what is it that you need to increase is iron, folate, and vitamin B12. Omega-3 fatty acids. There was a question about flax seeds. Yes, omega-3 fatty acids can reduce the inflammation in the body. Inflammation results in painful cramps. So reducing the inflammation is very important. How do we reduce the inflammation? Flax seeds are very rich in omega-3 fatty acids. Fish is a good source of omega-3 fatty acids. Walnuts, soya bean, all these are good sources of omega-3 fatty acids. So those of you who have these problems, see to it that you take omega-3 fatty acids. One way of consuming flax seeds, although I made a mention of it in the last session, I repeat it for the sake of those who have come for the first time. Omega-3 fatty acids are rich in flax. Roast it in a pan, powder it, and this omega or the flaxseed roasted powder can be added to water, slightly warm water, and drink it early in the morning. So flaxseed powder with warm water is an excellent source for good omega-3 fatty acids, good source of fiber. For your overall health, it is good, and it is also to reduce the inflammation in the body, therefore thereby the problems related to menstrual cramps. There are various other ways of consuming flax seeds. You can make it in the form of a dry chutney powder. You can just toast it and add it to your salads. So there are many ways. Then, the foods that you need to limit for a healthy reproductive cycle and for overall better nutrition are sugars. The white sugar especially, the table sugar especially, the refined sugar. So these are something we really need to cut down, not just for the better reproductive health, but also for the overall health, because high empty calories and high sugars will only add to your weight, which in turn gets deposited as extra fat, thereby increasing the cholesterol. And therefore, we become more prone to lifestyle disorders in the form of, say, obesity, hypertension, cardiovascular diseases. Therefore, it's good that we cut down on empty calories in the form of refined sugars. So what do these sugars do? Sugars unnecessarily increase the blood sugar levels, and higher the blood sugar, more severe the period symptoms will be. Therefore, the thing what we need to keep in mind is, if we have to relieve the menstrual pain, we need to balance the blood sugar levels, not creating the steep hike and dip in the sugar levels. Caffeine, another important component. Caffeine increases, or more overconsumption of caffeine leads to heightened anxiety. Although whenever you feel tired or have some kind of a headache or tired feeling, it is quite natural that we pick up a cup of coffee. It in fact relieves your tension and headache. But overconsumption of caffeine can lead to heightened anxiety and sleep deprivation, and lack of sleep can increase the premenstrual symptoms and syndrome. So therefore, keeping a check on caffeine is very important. Likewise, alcohol also. It can actually make the symptoms worse. So the next thing is about sodium or salt. Lowering sodium is very important. So what happens when we consume more salt? We require about 5 milligrams of sodium per day to our body, which is about a teaspoon of salt for an individual person in a day. Now, as long as we are eating home cooked food with moderate quantity of salt, we get our daily quota and we don't overdo that. But if your diet is predominantly packaged foods, ready to eat foods, confectionaries, junk food, and a whole lot of puppets and pickles, not taking that in moderation, but excessive consumption of these, that can result in high consumption of sodium, especially among youths. Today, we see a lot of them taking a lot of processed foods, convenient or comfort foods, just picking up from the shelves of the supermarkets. So many of these ready-to-eat foods, comfort foods, frozen foods, have a lot of taste enhancers in the form of monosodium glutamate, preservatives, excess salt. So excess sodium results in retention of water in the body. We are overburdening the kidneys to flush out that extra sodium. In the process of removing or flushing out the excess sodium, our body holds on to excess water, thereby it results in bloating of the body. So many young girls feel this bloated sensation, tenderness in the breast, increase in weight, heaviness, bloated feeling. So all these are an indication that she could be consuming more than required quantity of salt in the form of sodium. So those girls who have these symptoms of heaviness, tenderness, bloating sensation, try cutting down on especially the fast foods, the packaged foods, and the salt content. Lowering sodium can reduce period-related bloating and also weight gain. And again, when you feel heavy, it also disturbs your sleep, it disturbs your mood. Therefore, the entire cycle of depression, anxiety, irritability, the whole cycle, vicious cycle continues. So please take care of that. Eat a lot of whole grains, very, very important. In the context of balanced diet, I've already mentioned this, but again for your reproductive health too, eating whole grains, less polished food, brown rice, different colored vegetables in the form of carrot, spinach, all these are very, very, very important for a good, normal health. I just stop here to get back to some interaction. So looking at all these things, we understand that somewhere what we pick up, the habits what we have cultivated are interfering or affecting our sleep, our periods, and our weight, the disease pattern, the health pattern, everything. Which means to say that there is a link and a delicate connection between all these. This reminds me of a little story. There are a couple of questions. Let me look at that before I go. Yes. Which salt is good for health? Pink salt, black salt, or white salt? I will take up that. Ma'am, please clarify. Iron, certain calcium foods, proteins like soya also raise estrogen levels and inflammation. Okay, fine. I will talk about that. So I was talking about the mentioning about this little story. So this is the folklore of China. So there was this couple, a farmer couple in the land of China, the husband and wife. The farmer had a small piece of land, and in that land, he had small little crops which he was growing. He had few farm animals, a cow, sheep, a couple of hen, all that, and he was leading a very happy, comfortable life. One day, the husband and wife are having a conversation late evening, and the wife is talking and sharing with her husband. She says that, you know what, we are fine, everything is going good. But these days, I've just spotted a rat, a mouse in the farm and in the house. We have this little granary where we store our grains, and this troublesome rat is living here. It's eating away everything. It's really bothering me. So husband says, don't worry, I'm going to go to the market today and buy a small little mouse trap, prepare something good, like how we have a fried items, like how we eat. So he mentioned about a couple of good items. They said, you prepare these things. Let's put it up in the mouse trap. And today we're going to catch him. Right now I'm going to the market to fetch this mouse trap. As this husband and wife are having this conversation, this little mouse is watching all this and listening to the conversation of the farmer and his wife. It's peeping through that little crevice in the door and listening to all this conversation. It gets mighty scared. Oh my God, the farmer is going to is going to the market today, and he's going to bring a mouse trap, and I'm going to be killed tonight. So it is highly scared, anxious. It runs to the farm, goes to the farm animals. The first one there is the hen, happily eating the grains there, chuckling and walking around, moving around. So the mouse runs to the hen and says, my friend, the farmer is going to bring a mouse trap, and today I'm going to be killed. The hen says, a mouse trap, is it? A mouse trap is going to call an end to your life. It is your funeral. How am I bothered? See, I have a whole lot of things to eat, and I'm comfortable and happy. The hen moves forward. The anxious mouse runs to its next big friend, the sheep. It says the same thing. You know what? Mouse trap is going to be placed tonight, and I'm going to be killed. The bigger friend also says the same thing. A mouse trap is your death trap. I have a lot of green pasture here. I'm comfortable. Why should I bother? The mouse runs frantically to the cow, which is happily mowing and going around and munching on the grass. The same story, the same reply. Mouse comes back sad, and that night the wife sets the mouse trap, and as the couple are sleeping in the midst of the night, the dark night, she hears the locking of the mouse trap. There's a clink sound, the locking of the mouse trap, and she knows that the mouse is trapped. She immediately gets up, walks towards the mouse trap. It is dark, it's not a well-lit room. She goes towards the mouse trap, but unfortunately, it's not a mouse which is trapped inside the mouse trap, but it was a poisonous snake which has gone into the mouse trap. And as it's coming out, the tail touches the lever of the mouse trap, and the mouse trap, the door gets locked. Now the tail of the snake is caught inside and the hood is outside. This snake is also, in the state of stress and anxiety. In that panic, the snake stings the woman, the farmer's wife. Being a poisonous snake, poison rises through her body. She screams and she falls down. Husband comes, immediate first aid had to be done, and early morning they call the local doctors, the local vaidyas there, and little first aid is done, and they say, yeah, we have done our best, but right now she has to be kept warm. We need to take care of her health. First, feed her warm chicken soup. A hot bowl of chicken soup is what your wife requires. Feed her that. So the first prey was who? Let me get the answers in the chat box. Who was the first prey? Who lost the life first? Yes, the hen became the first prey. Hot bowl of chicken soup was served to the lady. 2-3 days passed. Her relatives and friends started dropping in to inquire about her health. There was more demand for food. So the next one to go was sheep as food. This is not a story to promote non-vegetarianism. There's a little message behind this. So let's look at that message. But unfortunately, the woman does not survive. She passes away. She dies. So just like we have our ceremonies and the 11th day event, the farmer also has to invite people around, offer food to his relatives and friends and villagers. So in a big scale. So the next one to go was the cow. All this while, when all these three friends have lost their life, our little friend, the mouse, is still alive, kicking, and watching all these things from that crevice in the door. Why did I narrate this story amidst this important topic of food, period, and you connect is because we are all linked in the web of life. Anything that happens to anywhere in that web of life, any strand in the web, the entire web gets shaken. All these big friends who thought that nothing is going to happen to me, I am fine, had to give their life because something got disturbed in the web. Take, for example, the corona. Something happened somewhere, and look today, there are so many who have lost their jobs, so many who have been displaced. We have connected through this webinar and online platform. Something somewhere in the web of life has a bearing on the intricate or the smallest part of the web. As long as we are all connected in the web, anywhere, any person can get affected. Exactly in the similar way, in the body also, in the human body, everything is connected to everything else. The reproductive organs in the system is connected to your digestion. Your nervous system is connected to your other parts of the body. We as a human body are connected beings, not disconnected people. We are connected to each other. We are connected to our own self, physical, mental, spiritual, and social. So for a healthy period, safe period, painless period, the kind of food you eat, the quantity of food you eat, the time you eat, the exercise pattern, your worry, your hurry, your curry, and your sleep, everything has its own share. So I shared this story with you to give you that subtle message that we are all connected in the web of life, and the human body is also connected to many things around us and within us. Therefore, we need to pay attention, or we need to be cognizant about all these factors. We cannot neglect subtle things, thinking that this is very small. How is this going to bother me? No, we don't know the intricate connections between many things. Life is much more complex, much more vast than you and me can comprehend. Even science does not have explanation for many things. That's why it is said that spirituality begins where science ends. So there is a deeper connect between many of the things. So it is good that we are mindful of many of these factors. So let's go back. Let me just take a couple of questions. Or before that, generally, sir tells me that a small little break, biological break is required. So 3 minutes of break, we shall be back then. Quickly, you want to take a 2 to 3 minutes break, please, you can come back. Okay, welcome back. I think we can resume the session. So if you like that story, and if you found the deeper connect between what I told and what we are discussing, let me see it in your chat box as Y, indicating yes. If you like the story and if you can get that connect, yes, I get your answers. Yes, Y there. Yes, yes, yes. Quick answers. Thank you for that. Thank you so much. Yes, indeed, you're absolutely right. So I was talking to you about whole grains and brown rice. So basically about, we go back to our food pyramid and the balance, the concept of balanced diet. That is the underlying principle for good health. So if you can take care of your balanced diet, not just your diet, but your entire lifestyle, the four pillars, what I was telling you in my initial classes, the diet, the sleep, the positive mental attitude, and rest, then we enjoy good health. So that is very, very important. So I go back to your questions. There were few questions. We take that, and then if there's anything, I can go back to my slides. Okay. So one question here, is sprouted ragi much healthier than ragi? Not just ragi, all those cereals that can be sprouted. So all those monocotyledons or dicotyledons which can be sprouted is more healthier. Reason, when we sprout the cereals or pulses, the vitamin C rich, then the sprouts, the vitamin C gets increased. Moreover, the starch present in the cereals, whether it is ragi or any of the other cereals or pulse, the starch becomes easy to digest. So better absorption, better digestion, vitamin C content is improved. So thereby sprouted cereals, sprouted pulses are very, very nutritious for ourselves. So what is it that can be done, especially if you have infants, children at home? Soaked and then sprouted ragi, dry it in shade, and then home grind it, filter it well on a nice muslin cloth, sieve it well, and the fine powder, it's almost white in color, you don't even get the black there, the white color, the white powder. Making a porridge with milk is an excellent complementary food for an infant. So as the mother is feeding the baby, after 6 months of exclusive breastfeeding, when you start including the complementary food, it's called as ragi sari in the local Kannada or the South Indian language. So that's a very good malted or the sprouted ragi complementary food that can be given to children. Likewise, sprouted ragi malt can be taken in combination with other sprouts. The sprouts can also be roasted. This is called as malting. Soaking, sprouting, then drying it in shade, and then roasting, which results in the malting. It's called as a malting process, whereby the sugar that is present gets converted to another sugar called as maltose. That's why it's called as malting, which gives a subtle, nice taste and aroma flavor to the sprouted and roasted cereals. So this is a better way of consuming ragi, and not just ragi, any other pulse can be sprouted. Very, very healthy. In fact, you can soak about a handful of green gram, a little lesser than that of Bengal gram, and a small fistful of peanuts, moongfali, in water the previous day or the night, and then drain the water, let it sprout for about 8 hours, and take these sprouts with grated carrot, cucumber, a dash of lemon or pepper, salt, whatever seasoning you like. And these sprouts are very, very good source of protein and vitamin C, and very good for the body. Likewise, any other cereals which can be sprouted and eaten raw also can be taken. But generally, when you consume ragi in the form of ragi balls or ragi roti, we don't soak or sprout it. So dry ragi is powdered and taken. But sprouted ragi, you can use it for malts, you can use it for child or infant food. Are spinach seeds available in the market? Yes. Spinach bija or sab bija, no? Dried seeds of spinach is available in the market as health food. It is available. It can be consumed. Talking about, I think the other question I've answered is what can be done if it is long term? As I told you, long term, whatever long term are also good for the sustained better health effects. There is no quick fix when it comes to health. It has to be long term because it is more sustainable. The quick fixes are all only time bound. You can get or you can pop a painkiller, immediately relieve of your pain. That's also very important. We don't have to suffer from the pain. So But these are again quick fixes. Absolutely nothing wrong in taking a painkiller, but don't overdo it. More than that, if you can actually go to the root cause of the problem and correct it there, then a woman enjoys a longer term of good health. So that should be our agenda. Then please clarify, aren't certain calcium-rich foods or certain proteins like soya also cause raising estrogen levels and inflammation? Yeah, talking about soya, there's a lot of differences of opinion and thoughts. One of the thing is soya mimics the female estrogen. So it's called as what is called isoflavones, which are plant estrogens, are present in soya. So in a way, soya is good because it has these plant estrogens. So wherever estrogen is required, eating soya tofu is good. At the same time, another school of thought also says that soya can increase inflammation and can it also result in some kind of cancers which are related to hormones, hormone-induced cancers. So it is not just about the soya, it is about how much of soya you eat and in what form. The soya has got what is called as a negative nutrients in that. So that has to be removed. The anti-nutrients have to be removed before consumption. How do we remove these anti-nutrients in soya is it has to be soaked and proper cooking, the proper processing is very important. Overconsumption of dry soya as it is not a good practice. Whereas tofu, soya milk is a better way of consuming. Which salt is good for health? Pink, black, or white salt? Okay. Pink salt is the pure rock salt, or it's also called as a Himalayan salt. Good for health because it has natural chemicals and minerals in that. It's a good way. Wherever possible, if you can substitute your normal white salt with pink salt is good for health. Black salt is more for the flavor, the Kala Namak. It is generally taken whenever you have digestive problems or bloating sensation. It's added to your chaats and pani of your pani puri for that classic taste, not for your regular consumption. But generally for food preparation, we use either the table salt, the iodized salt, or the white salt. So iodized salt is in a way good for wherever, especially people with iron deficiency. Iodized salt is good, but if you can switch over to pink salt or Himalayan salt, that is a tad better than the white salt also. Why? Because white salt is completely bleached and with a lot of other chemicals and bleaching agents in that, whereas pink salt is more organic and it has a lot of good minerals, natural minerals in it. Yes, let me see if there are any more questions. Okay, I have brought both my kids up on ragi porridge. I lived in Bangalore during their infancy. Excellent. Nidhi says that ragi, yes. So ragi is more, although more region specific, more confined to southern India, especially Karnataka, but ragi is an excellent or a wonder cereal rather. Especially these days, doctors are recommending ragi for diabetics. Ragi is very, very versatile. You can prepare a whole lot of different products with that. Ragi ball, ragi porridge, ragi roti, ragi dosa, and as you said, for infant food also. Yes, so if by any chance we are going by the color of ragi, and if you are put off by the color of ragi, don't go by that. Let's not become racist. In fact, the darker the color of ragi, the higher is the antioxidant levels. So if your family is not used to it, try including a little bit of ragi into your diet. Don't switch over completely. But as I told you, variety is a spice of life. See if you can get into eating different types of cereals. Okay. Ritu says, which painkiller is safe? Let us not be recommending or prescribing medicines. It's always best to talk to your physician and take the painkillers. But by far, methylspas is one of the safe painkillers. But the dosage and the duration to be, you need to take only after consulting your doctor. Another reason is many a times we just pop in pills without even knowing from where the problem is arising. So the painful periods could be coming from a fibroid, it could be from endometriosis, it could be from bilateral chocolate cyst, it could be for various reasons. So unmindful taking of painkillers could be harmful. For that reason, if you are bothered by very heavy periods or pain, please consult your doctor and physician, your gynecologist. I'm sure your doctor will be able to diagnose well and then specifically give you the medication. Okay. Menopause, how can we take care? Please enlighten. Yes, very, very important question. Menopause. So a woman's body starts preparing for menopause a decade before the actual menopause. Menopause, generally, a woman may experience, what is menopause? So before I go on to the answer, let me first of all go to the basics. What is menopause? Menopause is the cessation of periods. Menses, menopause, pause is stoppage. A stoppage of periods is called as menopause. Generally, a woman faces menopause in her mid-50s. Little individual variation is there, and early 40s. And as I told you, a decade before actual stoppage of periods, the body starts preparing for menopause, and it is called as the premenopause and the perimenopause and menopause. Pre is before menopause, peri is during menopause, and actual cessation. When you say that a woman has actually reached menopause, when she does not bleed for more than a year, for about 12 months, she goes without shedding, without menstruating. That is an indication that she has reached menopause. So before this complete stoppage, she goes through pre and perimenopause. So throughout these stages of pre and peri, her body goes through a lot of changes. Just like during the beginning of periods menarche, how the woman's body went through hormonal changes and fluctuations, again during the pre and perimenopause, there are hormonal changes, the fluctuations. That is when, during the peri and the premenopause time, a woman again undergoes bouts of heavy bleeding, scanty flow, irregular bleeding, and also mood swings. Because of the fluctuation in the hormones, a woman faces mood swings, hot flushes, going red, irritability. And you can just imagine around that time, when the woman is in her 40s, early 40s or mid 40s, her children are in their teens, and generally husband is approaching his retirement. So everybody is in a very, very important phase of their life. So being children, the children being in their adolescent age, in the transition, they are also going through their hormonal fluctuation. They are demanding, they are going through their identity formation. So they are more kind of, not so easy to take care as they were when they were during their school years or preschool years. At the same time, our lady is also going through the menopause and the hormonal fluctuation. And husband probably also facing, looking at the retirement plans and how do I settle my children. All these things, we call it as a middle-age blues. So this time can become another very, very testing period for the woman. Demanding children and the health challenges and the home front, and add to all this, the ailing in-laws and parents, aging parents, sick parents at home, sick in-laws or aging elders at home. So therefore, a middle-aged woman who is reaching her menopause goes through a whole lot of turmoil and emotional upheaval. It is at this time, my dear friends, a woman in a menopausal age really, really requires a good help, cooperation, empathetic heart, and someone to share her household chores and be with her. We need to understand that she's going through a whole lot of emotional upheaval. She's gone through a whole lot of cycles of hormonal changes where estrogen surges, estrogen dips, and progesterone changes, and menstrual cycles, a couple of pregnancies, and now menopause. So the body has taken enough. So it is very, very important that as a husband, And as young teenage children, it's very important that you stand by your middle-age or menopausal mothers. What is it that she requires is, apart from all this emotional support and cushioning, she needs to again take balanced food. She needs to take care of her calcium resources. Very, very, very important. She needs to have good calcium reserves for the rest of her life. Why? Because during menopause and post-menopause, the estrogen levels come down. That's why there is no ovulation, no menstruation once she reaches menopause, which means there is no estrogen, means estrogen is required for calcium absorption. So during the menopausal age, when estrogen level comes down, the ability of the body to absorb calcium also decreases. Therefore, a woman in a menopausal age enters the osteoporotic stage. That is, her bones become weak. Bones become osteoporotic in the sense holes could be formed in the bones due to calcium, lack of calcium, because estrogen hormone is not there and she's not replenishing with adequate calcium. This is another reason why women become more prone to cardiovascular diseases and heart problems, because as long as estrogen was there, it was guarding against heart diseases. Now that the estrogen is low or almost negligible, a woman becomes even more prone to heart problems, bone issues, fractures, etc. Therefore, that's a very good question from Padma Madam. Therefore, a menopausal woman should take care of her calcium supplement, good quality of calcium-rich foods in the form of dairy or milk products, ragi, and also consult your doctor. And 500 milligrams of calcium supplement is good for a menopausal woman, but again, please consult your doctor. And those of you who have thyroid issues, again, please consult your doctor, and you really require calcium supplement. Again, there are different opinions of different doctors, how long it should be taken, which brand has to be taken, but just discuss. If you're approaching menopause, please talk to your doctors. And also if you're hypothyroid, if you have thyroid issue, also kindly consult your doctors. That's very, very important. The second thing about menopause is hot flushes are common, mood swings are common. Therefore, it's important for a menopausal woman to share her issues with her husband, with her teenage children at home. This is how I feel. This is how a woman's body feels, and this is a normal hormonal change that goes through. Please cooperate with me. So we need to talk about, share our anguish and problems. That's very important, because people around us may not understand what a woman is going through. So talk about it. Ask for help, network, reach out. That's something very, very important. Yes. And the third most important thing is be prepared. It's a very common thing in a woman's life. Menopause is as common as every monthly cycle. So one fine day it has to happen. So go or face menopause with a lot of preparation. And it's not that your femininity is going to come down or your fertility is going to come down. Menopause is another phase of life where you can actually enjoy those things. You know, the travel was a bothersome thing earlier during the periods. Now you can resume back all those, but take care of your food, exercise, and diet. Another way of keeping your bones healthy apart from calcium is exercise. Regular exercise is very, very important, especially for middle-aged women. Any comfortable exercise in the form of walk, yoga, whichever that suits you, because bone health also depends very much on exercise. And I need to also add about vitamin D. 20 minutes of sun exposure between 6:30 to 8:30, or 7:30 to 8:30 to be precise in the morning, 4:30 to 5:30 in the evening. Light sun exposure, very important, so that vitamin D is produced in the body. Vitamin D will help in calcium absorption and again make your bones stronger. Very important. That was a good question regarding menopause. Yes. Anything else? And what is the time? 8:20. I think, yeah, if there is any question, I'll just go through, or I will, yes, I will stop here to ask or have a little chat with the participants. How has it been going? You think your periods can be a little more happier from the coming months if you can take care of these things? Were we able to answer some of the queries, concerns related to food periods and you? Let me see. Your opinion on the, yes, Swapnali says, hope so. Yes, life is always about being proactive and optimistic. So let's hope, definitely. Yes, there's no name, but someone says, definitely, ma'am. Thank you. And as I told you, no quick fix for good health. You need to be eating correctly day in and day out, not for your next periods alone. It's for your life. So please take care of that. Would anyone like to ask question? Yes, if you can, please ask. Feeding ourselves with proper nutrition will be helpful, definitely helpful. Yes. Yes. So please take care of all your iron-rich foods, calcium-rich foods, magnesium, vitamins. In short, food pyramid, balanced diet. We back and forth go back to that one particular concept. Very, very important. Shall try to incorporate the important nutrients, says Bhavna. Thanks for that. The intention of the entire nutrition series is that only, Bhavna, that you all incorporate. It is not for us to share these thoughts and feel good about it and forget the next day. No, you need to incorporate. And I would like to give this message to you all. Small little changes, sustained changes is what is required. So I've been giving a whole lot of tips every week. So continue to do this. It could be your balanced diet, it could be those dry fruit tips, it could be the seeds and the nuts and oil seed tip, or it could be about sesame seeds, the lemon and water, whatever. Do all this. Apart from that, another very important tip for the day. If you have a little space in the backyard and if you have little space in your front yard, what are those important plants that you need to grow? So if you have a backyard or if you have a terrace, if you have pots wherever you can grow, please remember these very important plants. Number one, drumstick, moringa. Drumstick is an excellent source of iron, excellent source of vitamins. Moringa leaves are very, very good. Tender moringa leaves or drumstick leaves to be consumed. It can actually improve your iron levels. So see if you can grow a drumstick tree in your backyard or a huge plant. The next very important plant is curry leaves, curry patta. Good source of phosphorus. It is very good for your hair. In fact, it reduces hair fall, anti-aging, and graying of the hair also gets reduced. So the second is, yeah, of course, microgreens and all that. Yes. So curry leaves, second. Third important, papaya. Papaya is that one fruit which is always almost available 365 days. Excellent source of carotene, vitamin A. Easily grown, local fruit, very, very healthy. So consume papaya. It is very good for your digestive system also. And apart from this, you have the amla, the dodpatre and all that. Let's not go into these, at least these very, very common ones in the backyard. Please see to it that you, when you go out to the nursery or garden next time, purchase these saplings and grow this. This should be a testimony for the classes you have attended. You might forget Dr. Shobha, you might forget Deepak Sharma sir, you might forget many of us, but these plants which are going to grow in your backyard should remind you of the nutrition series, and it should give you that good health for the family. And I was talking about the front portion. So in your front, the area of your home, have a basil plant or a tulsi, a holy basil, what we see. Tulsi is an excellent medicinal plant. Chewing, just wash it and you can eat the tulsi leaves. Very good for your throat, and it can relieve cough, many of the respiratory problems. Just pluck few fresh tulsi leaves, put it in your jug of water and drink that water. Give it to your children. For the whole family, that could be a pattern. So tulsi in front, and these 3-4 saplings in your backyard or your terrace or in your potted plants. This should be one of your take-home messages from the series. I hope at least some part of it can be applied or put into practice. And I believe in giving you tips which are doable, which are practicable. I don't believe in giving you sermons or theories or ideas which are nice to listen but difficult to practice. I would rather give you something which can be done. So is it possible? Can we practice? Can I quickly see an yes or a no there? These tips what I gave you, doable, not doable? Yes or no? Yes, yes, yes. I am so happy with that. Quick, wise. Yes. Yes, thank you so much. I think we are almost come to the closing time. I still don't know if the topic for the last session is decided. I'm going to probably hear from organizers. If all of you have been suggesting topics, and if something is finalized, you can tell me. Or if you're still thinking, you could get back. For now, after listening to all these series, what do you think you would like to listen to in the last session? We shall leave it to the organizers to compile and decide, but I'm quite curious. What is it that you all would be interested in knowing? Deepak sir says, I think it's difficult to convince young girls to eat these things. Yes, sir. So what do we do? Good question. You have a question, I'll give you a possible answer. What can be done? Curry leaves can be eaten in the form of a chutney powder. You don't have to just eat it as it is. It could be roasted, and your people at home can tell you little spices, green chilies or red chilies and garlic and little spices. A nice tangy powder can be made, and which can be eaten with your dosas and parathas or with rice. So there are ways of consuming that. Tulsi, of course, it's got a nice flavor and a taste. It's just that we need to be open to it. So if you can educate young people and talk to them about the medicinal value of these things, I'm sure people would value their health. So yes, moringa. If you're talking about drumstick leaves and not very palatable and young girls may not eat, it's just an option. As I told you, those of you who are willing can eat. But these days, moringa capsules are also are available, and Westerners are trying to patent moringa or drumstick leaves. So probably young girls will start consuming these capsules once it comes from US or it is branded and it comes from West. So let's wait for that day. Otherwise, yes. So you could come back, or the organizers will come back to me regarding that topic. We can take up many things. We could take up disease specific, like, for diabetes, what is it that need to be done? Or for different types of cancers, how do we keep a bay of all these things? So that could be one of the topics. It could be about different types of diet. I will not be suggesting, let it come from your end. So I'll wait for that. But till then, once again, wish you a very, very happy Diwali. I have enjoyed conducting these sessions for all of you. And I'm so happy that even on a festival day, we have about 50 people. And I see a sustained audience. Many of you have been coming back week after week. Thanks so much for that. It's been a great pleasure talking to you all, sharing my thoughts, and learning a lot from you too. So thank you once again. Over to the organizers. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, ma'am. And in fact, we will be getting in touch with you regarding the last session, and we'll share it with everybody over the group. And I now invite my colleague, Ms. Sukhinder Kaur, to please present the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Nidhi. I, on behalf of Internal Quality Assurance Cell, Shri Guru Nanak Dev Khalsa College, extend a very hearty vote of thanks to Dr. Shobha for sharing with us her opinion today on the food, periods, and you. The talk has apprised us all about how this menstrual cycle is related to the food we eat and the lifestyle we are living with. Thank you so much, ma'am. Ma'am, you have very well given the scientific explanation to the problem faced during the periods and the diet pattern which should be followed to solve the pertaining issues. And yes, those last that you told us to follow, the takeaway messages, I think all the participants are going to follow that. Thank you so much, ma'am.
My pleasure.
Sincere Welcome, ma'am. My sincere thanks to our principal, Dr. Gurmohinder Singh, for his support and guidance. I would also like to thank Dr. Deepak Sharma, IQAC coordinator and mentoring committee headed by Dr. Neeta Dhingra, for identifying the relevant topics with you for the nutrition webinar series. Last but not the least, thanks to all the participants for sparing their time for the session during this festival time. Thank you everyone once again.
Thank you
I'll
so
be
much.
sharing, welcome ma'am.
Sorry,
Ma'am,
please.
I'll be sharing some topics with you. I have just, we have taken the topics from the feedback form, and very good topics are there. Some have
Very.
said that pollution and health, yes. And regarding that hair fall, how to wean children away from the junk, I'll be sharing these topics.
Oh,
So I
very
think we can
interesting.
discuss some of these.
Very interesting. Probably we can also have kind of a question answers. We don't even have to, restrict ourselves to one topic. It
Yes,
could
ma'am.
be multiple questions like this, like the way you mentioned, small
Yes.
little quick fixes, remedies, handling junk, and taking care of our food habits and exercise, many such things. Probably we can have a series of that also. I leave it to you. It's completely to the participants. I'm fine with it. Okay.
Yeah, ma'am.
So
I'll be sharing the total list with you. So then I think that will be a healthy discussion on the day.
sure, sure, sure. That's really nice. I look forward to it. And I see a lot of appreciations and thank you messages. I thank each one of you. Due to paucity of time, I may not be able to read everything, but extremely useful session, very helpful, and lot of your answer appreciations are there for the session in Hindi and in English. It's given to me. Thank you so very much for that. Okay, I'm once again thankful to all of you, Nidhi ma'am, Deepak sir, all of you, the principal, and all
Thank
of you, your participants. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. I request all the participants, if they still have some topic in their mind, they can just put it in the feedback form. So we will definitely share it with ma'am, and then that those topics can be taken on 28th November. So the last nutrition webinar series.
Yeah. And I also would be happy to see the feedback, ma'am. If you have consolidated and
Yes,
kind,
ma'am. Definitely, I'll share it with you.
yeah, I'll be very
I'll
happy
share
to
it with you.
receive that.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
For
thank you
sure.
all.
I'll be sharing. Thank you so much, ma'am. So
Bye.
we formally declare our session closed. Kindly fill the feedback form. Thank you so much. Thanks to all.
Bye to all.
Bye, ma'am.